Welcome to another YouTube video, different setting this time. So we're in the gym, the main section, where we're going to do more of a Q&A. No training kind of in the background today, just going to sit down, some questions, some answers, because we've been getting good feedback in these style of videos. So enjoy.
Okay, so the question here is, can you spot reduce fat?
No, you cannot spot reduce fat. When we're looking at a fat loss journey, what we're looking at is like systemic loss across head to toe. And unfortunately, a lot of people do focus on their larger areas, and most people tend to have like a larger stomach area or a larger kind of legs or larger arms. And when they're in their fat loss journey, the one place they're looking at is the one place they want to lose it all from. And that's effectively taking the plug out of the swimming pool and just constantly watching the deep end. And you're not going to see much change there, but if you just kind of look at the drop throughout the whole pool, i.e. your whole body, then yeah. So you cannot spot reduce fat. When you enter a fat loss journey, it's systemic kind of loss. It's happening all the time, and it's just happening head to toe. So that is the answer.
Perfect. Good stuff. So this question is, how do I drop body fat?
So the process of dropping body fat is, you have to be in a calorie deficit, and in simple terms, that is consuming less food than you burn on a daily basis. So your body is constantly turning over calories, which is a unit of energy. So your body's burning all this energy throughout the day, and we're consuming energy throughout the day. And we need to make sure that there's a difference between the two, a deficit between the two, and your body starts to drop body fat. Simple.
Perfect, nice. So this question here is, how do I hit my macros?
How do you hit your macros? So you don't need to be hitting your macros specifically. If we're looking at a weight gaining journey or a fat loss journey, what we're ultimately looking at is total calorie content, like what we're consuming throughout a day, throughout a week. And how them calories are made up is going to be made out of macros, proteins, carbs, and fats. For the most part, you do not need to worry about your carbs and fat consumption. What we're really trying to do is stay within our calories and aim to hit our protein. Carbs and fats can make up the rest.
Nice.
That being said, unless there's any medical problems.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That
if someone's
caveat.
diabetic, don't be smashing your carbs back. Like,
Yeah.
That's the caveat to that, I suppose.
Okay, good to remember. This question is, how many steps should I be doing?
Completely unique to the individual. So if I got someone that works in the forestry and they're out all day and they're hitting 20,000 plus steps a day, and I have an office worker or a banker or someone like that, they've got completely different outputs, completely different movement requirements for the job that they're doing. So the best way to kind of set someone their step target is to take a weekly average and then just give them a little bit more than that. So putting someone that works in a bank, for example, on 15,000 plus steps could be quite unrealistic. So the best thing to do would be to take that individual on as the individual they are, figure out what they're currently doing, and set a target just a little bit above that so they do work a little bit more towards that. And yeah, just deal with the individual you've got. So how many steps should you do? It comes down to your current circumstances. And then you work with that. That is the simplest way to do it. So there's no magic number for an individual. Men shouldn't be hitting one thing, women hit another thing. There's no like 10,000 plus and you'll be dropping heaps of body fat. It is completely unique to you and your circumstances.
Great, that makes sense, yeah.
Perfect.
So from a fat loss point of view, what's the best exercise for
X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z?
So the best exercises from a fat loss standpoint are, it's a really difficult question to answer. So if someone is coming into the gym and they are inquiring about fat loss journey and they really want to target their bingo wings or their stomach, etc., that individual needs to understand straight off the bat that doing loads of tricep exercises and doing loads of sit-ups and core exercises is not going to help target that area. However, the programming needs to be designed around the individual's likes, dislikes, and what they feel that their goals are in that moment. So if an individual comes to me and says, bingo wings, prime example, I really want to target my arms, I'm getting ready for this wedding, blah, 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 my arms are horrific, I really want to like lose the body fat in my arms. It would not make any sense just doing arm workouts 24/7 because the individual's just going to have sore arms all the time. And the individuals need to realize that are looking to target these specific areas, that it is like a systemic loss. We are looking at your nutrition quite heavily, we're looking at your movement quite heavily, and we're making sure that we're ticking off them things quite consistently. We can train your arms, we can train your core, we can train whichever body part you're wanting to try and reduce the most body fat in. However, the more we target that area does not mean more fat loss. So it is about including them exercises so it's an enjoyable programming process, but it's not about just training that area to drop the fat. It's about getting the individual strong from head to toe, fit from head to toe, and getting them like familiar with training regularly and trying to help that individual develop the lifestyle that this is me, this is who I am, and you get better results from that point. God, oh, I'm such a fucking dick.
Yeah, where we got there.
I know, the question was different in my head. But yeah, we can't spot reduce fat, and there is no point constantly targeting a certain area that you're wanting to get the most results in from a fat loss point of view. It makes no odds.
Variety
that
is the
was
spice of life.
5 minutes short of that answer, isn't it?
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's it.
So this question is, how long before I see results?
So the answer is, how long is a piece of string? How consistent can you be to ticking the boxes with regards to nutrition, ticking the boxes with regards to movement out with the gym, and ticking the boxes with getting your training sessions in on a regular basis and being progressive? From my experience, you can start to see really good results from a mental health point of view and a physical health point of view within 90 days. You're on a really good trajectory after your first 90 days because you've developed better habits, a better lifestyle, and you are just starting to identify as someone that sees themselves doing this on a regular basis. The second that happens is when you start seeing better results. Starting and doing a couple of training sessions, you're not going to see any results. So one training session will not make you super strong, super lean, super skinny. Tracking one meal or 1 day of meals or 1 week of meals, you're not going to see much results from that from a fat loss point of view, from a performance point of view, an energy point of view. Well, you might actually be a bit, but yeah, it's all about compounding the meals together that you track, compounding the training sessions that you do regularly. And I suppose a simple way of understanding this is like, if I give you £1 every day for a whole year, okay, you've got 2 options. Spend that £1 there and then because it doesn't have much value, it's £1. Or put it in your back pocket, or put it in the piggy bank, and do that for a whole year. So £365 is so much more than £1. And if you are willing to take a step back and go like, okay, that was one training session, I'm gonna put that in the piggy bank, well done, good on me, pat in the back. There's my second training session. How many training sessions have you got in the piggy bank? How many meals tracked have you got in the piggy bank? And it's the more you have of them things behind you, the more likely you are to see results in front of you.
Yeah.
Doing one training session to the point where you're sore and then not training for a whole week afterwards is not a good way to get results. So it's like compounding 1% every time.
Yeah. Build on it. Yeah.
Build on it.
What supplements should I be taking?
What supplements should you be taking? Probably having a good protein powder in the house, probably having some form of vitamin D, a good fish oil, and creatine. Protein, what was the other one? Fish oil, vitamin D, creatine. 4 supplements I recommend that everyone should be on daily. That is it, simple. You don't need anything else. Protein, vitamin D, good fish oil, creatine, done.
Sweet, that's you.
That's it.
And you can get vegan alternatives to the creatine and the fish oil, which is good.
Yeah, so I think to answer this question in a bit more depth, you should really start focusing on, like, before you start spending more money on supplements, is like really controlling the things that you can control. Your nutrition, your movement, your sleep quality, your water, your hydration, I should say. All these things should be almost perfect before you start looking at supplementing the additional things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it comes back to the discussion we were having last week, where it's like, yeah, the foundations have got to be there. You can't just pile crap on top of crap.
I remember when I first started training, I was like 15, right? And I thought, like, if I just eat loads of tuna, I'm gonna be jacked.
Yeah.
If I just get, mum, I used to buy my protein from Argos. Well, I used to get my mum to buy it from Argos, and it was the Maxi Muscle protein powders from Argos, and I thought, I'm gonna be fucking massive. Like, that's all I need. Like, that is the missing ingredient. When actually I was 16 and I was smashing bags of Skittles and Haribos and Chippies and not really training either. I just thought if I take a protein shake, I'm gonna be swole. So like sort the foundations out first, and then start looking at like the additional things that you can get the extra percents from. So yeah.
Great. We'll move on. So the next question we've got here is, what plates should I be using for pulling from the ground?
So pulling from the ground, we're looking at things like deadlifting, potentially Romanian deadlifting, potentially bent over rows, pendlay rows, hip thrusts, not really pulling from the ground, but yeah, hip thrusts. And we have plates designed for that. They're called bumper plates.
I'll get one.
So here we have my fabulous assistant. That's a 15 kilo bumper plate. Now the cool thing about bumper plates is they're all the same size, they're just completely different weights. So I've got a 5 kilo one that's the same size as this, but it's 5 kilos. I've got a 10 kilo one that's the same size as this, but again 10 kilos, and 15 kilo ones. But we also have, we'll cut here. So as you can see here, these plates are both 5 kilos if Callum spins his round. And you can't even see the writing. So that's a 5 kilo bumper plate, and this is just a 5 kilo plate. You would not pull this from the ground for 2 reasons. The first one being that it's not going to be the same size off the ground. So this is kind of like a standardized kind of height off the ground. And I used to think that all the bumper plates were the same height from the ground to try and help people with their low back and keep the back nice and flat. Now that might be the case, but I heard the other day, and this one's quite interesting, that if you have your bumper plates on the ground and you pull your bar from the ground and say you're doing a snatch or a clean, and it's a big jump, it's an explosive movement, and you fail it and it decides to fall back on top of you, the chances of this killing you are less than this one. And it was a video of a guy explaining that that is actually enough that it's not going to fall in your throat and strangle you to death.
Okay.
Whereas that one will. These are dangerous. So yeah, so bumper plates, they're the plates you're going to be pulling from the floor and doing hip thrusts with. The smaller plates are not. Do not be intimidated by these, because let's say that's 5 kilos and it's small and you'd be like, oh, that's a cool wee plate. Oh shit, that's massive, that looks heavy, but it's still 5 kilos, okay? So get your bumper plates on and lift safely from the ground.
So this question here is, what intensity should I train at?
So this is one of the ones that's really been freaking me out recently, because there's a lot of people that are not quite grasping it. So I feel like I need to try and explain it in a way that's really simple. And I'm not good at doing that. So intensity, so basically how hard should you be training throughout your workout and consistently through all your workouts moving forward. Now, I use a reps and reserve scheme, and what that basically means that is if you were to do an exercise and you do the reps that I've asked you to do. So say, for simple terms, you're gonna do a shoulder press and you've got 2 10 kilo dumbbells and you're gonna go for 12 reps. So set 1, you do 12 reps. The question that you should ask yourself straight after that set is like, if I had to keep going to failure, how many more would there be before I hit failure? Right, so you stop at 12, but how many more could you have potentially done? Now I use the reps and reserve scheme, which is kind of like, take it to failure, leave 1 in the tank, or at most kind of leave 2 in the tank. Now that is quite intense for most people, or other people watching this may think, oh my God, that's pretty intense. But because it's a perception scale, a lot of my clients can be a wee bit off that. So there might potentially be anywhere between like 2 and 5 reps in reserve there. So what intensity should I train at? You should train close to failure as you possibly can, while keeping things safe, keeping good form. But you want to kind of get as close to failure as you possibly can. So finish your set, ask yourself the question. If you're unsure of the answer, what you might want to consider doing on an exercise that it's safe to do is potentially an AMRAP, so as many rounds or reps as possible. So in that instance, you would do a shoulder press, you'd keep the weight the same, and you would just keep going until you could not do any more, and see what that number looks like and compare it to your previous sets. So what intensity? As close to failure as you can, but leave potentially up to 2 reps in the tank if you were to go to failure.
Cool, that answers the question.
I think it does.
So the next question here for you, Jonathan, is what are warm-up sets and how many should I be doing?
Warm-up sets are the sets that you perform before you work in. So for example, the example I've actually got on the board over there is if you're warming up to a 200 kilo deadlift, for example, you're not going to put 200 kilos in the bar and then just try and work at that, because obviously you're not warmed up, you've not primed your body with that movement pattern. So what you might do is 4, 5, 6, I don't know, the amount of warm-up sets you do is completely down to how you're feeling in that moment. But what you're effectively doing is doing a lighter weight for some reps on this movement pattern you're about to perform working. And then you would simply just add a little bit of weight, but you would pull the reps down a little bit. So as the intensity increases, so the weight that you're lifting increases, the volume decreases as part of your warm-up. So if you're doing 3 sets of 10 deadlifting, your working sets are gonna be 10, 10, 10. So you don't wanna be doing 10 at this weight, a wee bit heavier, 10 at that weight, a wee bit heavier, 10 at that weight, a wee bit heavier, 10 at that weight, and so on and so forth, because you're doing a lot of volume there as well as the intensity increasing or the weight increasing. So as you're building up to what you're going to work at, you would pull the reps down and you would kind of keep the intensity moving up, volume coming down, getting ready for that kind of working set. So warm-up sets are the work that you do prior to the work that you're going to record for me or your coach to sit and look at, right? And it's about training smart, not hard. So making sure that you are warming up, you're priming your body, you're kind of getting dialed into that movement pattern, or you're nailing your tempo, or whatever it may be. You're doing all that stuff as part of your warm-up. So when you get to your work, you kind of switch off and just do the work. But it's train smart, not hard. So don't exhaust yourself prior to working. Warm up, get moving. So an example would be like, I've used that a few times today, like Usain Bolt doesn't rock out of bed, stroll up to the Olympics and just sprint 100 meters. He probably spends a good few hours like priming his body ahead of doing a 100-meter sprint. So he's gonna do a 10-second burst as fast and as hard as he can, but he doesn't want to jeopardize that effort by doing too much prior to it. He wants to get himself primed, ready, and firing all cylinders, ready for that one set or that exercise or that workout, whatever it may be. So warm-up sets are the work you do prior to the work that you record. Train smart, not hard.
Great. There's your answer.
So I got a question here from one of my clients. How do you help clients develop a sustainable approach to nutrition that aligns with their long-term goals and lifestyles? Yeah, so just educate them. Just short, simple. Just educate them on like what is required, how it can fall in line with their current lifestyle. So it's about making things sustainable. There's the key word there. It's not like unsustainable. We're not trying to get results fast and quickly that aren't sustainable. It's about, right, let's see how this fits your life. Like if someone came to me and they were addicted to McDonald's and they said, Jonathan, the GP sent me here, I'm about to die unless I get off McDonald's. I've got 6 weeks to live, and I would probably turn around and say like, okay, over the next 6 weeks, we're just gonna manage the amount of McDonald's that you consume. There would be no point in taking that individual and going, right, sweet, you need chicken salads for the rest of your life. Like, it's not sustainable. Like, that individual has addictions, like quite a different realm to go down. Yeah. Right, so if the individual's like, I'm gonna continue eating McDonald's, whatever you say, I'll be like, cool, we just need to manage that intake of McDonald's. Yeah. So it's, yeah, just about keeping it sustainable. Callum is going to sign us off.
Okay, well, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed that, and comment below any other questions you want us to answer next week and the videos beyond that. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. So bye from me.
So bye from me.
There we go. See you.